Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.
Hello and welcome to this Monday Postcast. I'm Maddie Plough. I'm joined by Nick Watts. We've also got Tom Siegel and Paul Binfield from Paddy Power, of course. Coming up, we're going to have a look at the weekend action, of course. Great racing on this Easter weekend at Lingfield. There's some action at Newcastle as well we're going to look at. And of course, we're going to review the action that happened at Doncaster, including a really impressive Lincoln winner in Adayeb. And we might even have a quick look at the Irish Grand National as well. So we're going to crack on straight away with it. Good Friday first off. It's the All-Weather Championships at Lingfield, which is of course on ITV4. At 4:40, it's the Betway Easter Classic All-Weather Middle Distance Championships. And of course, this race, we get to see the rematch between Master of the World and Mr. Owen, who of course dramatically swapped places in the Winter Derby last time. Binners, can I have some betting on this race for us, please?
You sure can. Just quickly, Maddie, I've just got to give a quick mention to Brownie and the New Zealand lads who I met at Cheltenham. Huge Postcast fans and huge Maddie Plough fans as well.
Oh. So, well, hello, and I hope they're listening and hope they'll enjoy this week's Postcast anyway.
Big fan club down under there, Maddie. But anyway, here we go. 3-1 Victory Bond, 7-2 Master of the World, 4 Mr. Owen, 13-2 Utmost, 8 Star Archer, and it's 12 bar. If I'm going to make a selection, I'll probably go for Hugo Palmer's Star Archer. Third last time at Kempton where he was held up. I think if he gets ridden a bit more prominently this time, he'll be thereabouts.
Okay, excellent. What's your 2 cents on this one?
I think Utmost would be quite interesting if took his chance. I mean, disappointing in the Derby last time out, kind of bombed out and got swamped late on. But if you go back to the trial win before that, he had Victory Bond in second, Battle Marathon in third. I'll forgive any horse a bad, one bad day. And if you go back to the run 2 starts ago, then, I think he's very interesting. So if you take the chance, Utmost would be quite interesting for me.
Okay, he might be a bit of a price as well. Tom, what do you reckon?
I love the sand so much, Maddie, I won't even be in the country. So I'm off to New York for the next couple of weeks. So
very nice.
This has a bit passed me by, but I did think Utmost was a bit unlucky. I backed him last time. And my all-weather friends tell me that the rail was rubbish at Lingfield last time, and that's why he didn't run his race. So I'm hoping he bounces back to form here, like Watsy says. I personally think Victory Bond is the one to beat.
Okay, Victory Bond, the one to beat. We'll move quickly on then to the 2 o'clock, which is the Betway All-Weather Marathon Championships. Red Verdon, of course, he was 6th in the 2016 Derby, and he beat Master of the World in the Wildflower Stakes earlier on in the season. Binners, prices on this one?
Yeah, tight at the top of the market, Maddie. 7-2 Waters Meet, Funny Kid and Red Verdon. 9-2 Mountain Bell, 7 Lord George, 8 Soldier in Action, 20 bar. I'm going to go for Red Verdon for Ed Dunlop. I think he's a really interesting horse stepping up to 2 miles. And he could well be a Melbourne Cup contender later in the year. Yeah,
of course, the owners are synonymous with that race. You did actually mention Funny Kid. It's interesting, the French often send horses over here, and he's trained by Christophe Furland, of course. He could well be one of interest. What's he? I'll go to you next.
Yeah, I think Waters Meet comes here in fantastic form. Won last 3. Kempton last time out won much easier than the margin suggested against Curb Your Enthusiasm, and a good second in this last year. So I'm sure he'll be primed to run a big race.
He's very consistent and honest. You know you're going to get a run for your money with him, don't you? He loves the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's, like I said, in great winning form. Won his last 3.
Fantastic. Tom?
Looks impossible, Maddie. Binner's just read out the prices there. About 5 of them were under 5-1. It's sort of, in these all-weather races, it's pay your money, takes your choice, whichever one gets to run the race. I'm a big Mountain Bell fan as it goes. I think she's a really good filly and might be better over 2 miles. So she'd get my vote. Well, she won over 2 miles at Newcastle last time when she stepped up to that trip. So, I think she's still unexposed at the trip. So she'd be my selection, Mountain Bell.
Brilliant. She's relatively unexposed, I think. Don't think she's had too much racing, and of course she gets her allowance. Moving on to the 2:30 32 Red All-Weather Fillies and Mares Championships. Over to you, Binners.
4-1 Zest, 5 Soul Silver, 6 Summer Icon, 7 Carolyn Iron Diagnostic, and it's 9 bar. I'm going to go for Summer Icon for the Mick Channon team. Landed a nice gamble in the Brocklesby at Doncaster last Saturday. This horse was a fine second in a listed race at Wolves last time, and she's a very consistent mare who can run well.
Okay, of course, Mick Shannon won this race in 2015 with Volunteer Point. Rialtra, who won this last year, went on to win 2 Group 3, so it can't be a bad race at all for a stepping stone to better things. Tom, I'll go to you first this time.
Exactly the same sort of answer to the last one, Maddie. It just looks very, very difficult at this stage. There's nothing between them, really. I mean, if you look at the Racing Post ratings for this race, the top, 8 or 9 are within £5 of each other. For me, I'm given the Haggis and James Doyle form at the moment, I'd be interested in Diagnostic. I think she pulled too hard on her comeback run. I think she won 3 or 4 on the trot on the all-weather last season, and she came back, sort of got beaten by Binners' horse there, Summer Icon, but she pulled very hard that day when she was odds on. Dropped back to 6 furlongs at Kempton last time. Probably found that all a bit too much for over that sort of trip, but it was Mythmaker, Royal Birth, Tomerley, Don Juan Triumphant. They're good sprint horses. She was far from disgraced. I think she might be the one stepping up in trip.
Okay, you mentioned briefly there Doyle and Haggis. Of course, we're going to mention Adieb a bit later on in the show. Watsy?
Yeah, I think Zest is interesting. Paul mentioned her in his betting show, and it's an elite racing club horse that's got very close links to Soviet Song, their star miler of a few years ago. So very, very well bred. She's a 5-year-old now, and she's won races already. So I'm surprised. Well, not surprised, but she could easily have gone to the breeding sheds already and retired, because she's done her racing, she's got her win, and she's got the pedigree. So the fact that they're keeping her in training at 5 suggests she still might be capable of better things still. She won last time out at Lingfield over a mile, so she comes here in form, and I think, it's an open race, as Tom said, but she leapt off the page as much as any did at this stage.
Okay, and at 3:05, it's the Betway All-Weather Sprint Championships. Last year's winner, Kimberella, is in the race again this time. How do they bet on this one, Binners?
Yeah, 11-4 Catchy. Last year's winner, as you say, Kimberella, 130, 7-2 Gifted Master, 8 Intisab, 10 Bar. I'm going to go for Gracious John at around 10-1 at the moment for David Evans. Gave David his first Eva sprint success last time over 5. Might be better over that trip, but let's face it, this horse was only just touched off by Kimberella last year, so must have a good chance.
Yep, good point. I'll go to you, Watsy.
Well, Catchy being an interesting one for me. Didn't win last season on turf, but put in some good efforts. I think it was 4th in the Abernant, for example. Actually ran behind Batash as well. I think it ran in the Nunthorpe too, but the all-weather seems to have made a man of him this winter. He's won 2 from 2 at Lingfield and did really well last time out. Beat Kimberella from a bad draw. I think it was drawn 11 that day. So did very well to hang on. And he's the one that comes into the race with all the momentum. He's looking good. He's winning in great, great form. If he gets a better draw this time, then I think he's the one who could take all the catching.
I find it a bit... Oh, no, I see what you did there.
No, I didn't even do that on purpose.
It's just effortless with you. Yeah, I find it interesting they've not gelded Catchy, but maybe he's just got that attitude that they don't need to. But he did hang across the track at Ascot one year, didn't he? So a bit of an interesting one, that. But of course, there's been a man made of him now, as you say. Moving on to the 340, the 32 red 3-year-old all-weather championships. Mark Johnson's got 3 in this. And of course, Corinthian Knight is one that should be popular. He won a listed race at Chantilly just 15 days ago. He's got a great record on the all-weather, and Archie Watson, his trainer, is in fantastic form. Binners, over to you.
Yeah, Corinthian Knight, as you say, Maddie, short price, 6-4. 3-1 Breathless Times, 5 Rock on Baileys, 8-1 Never Back Down, and it's 12 bar. That 12 bar includes Count Otto. I'm going to go for each way for Amanda Parrott, a horse that's been really progressing nicely. Won his last 2 starts at Lingfield. Not sure he's going to be quite good enough to win this, but a good each way chance, in my opinion.
Worth taking the chance at a price like that. Can you take on the favourite Watsy? I think he looks pretty solid, doesn't he?
Yeah, I do. I think I'd be rowing in with him. I looked at the official ratings before, and I think he's 105, and the next best in is 98. So that's £7. It's quite a margin. Like you said, won at Chantilly last time out, and he's been all over the country. He won at Kempton. He's won at Newcastle as well this winter, I think, and comes here in cracking form. And yeah, siding with the favourites a little bit today, but yeah, Corinthian Knight I do think is very solid.
That could well be the way to go. As you say, his form's looking really good. Moving on to the 410 Sunbets all-weather mile championships. Of course, in this, Bansby another strong favourite in Second Thought, representing Haggis and Doyle. Binner's Second Thought favourite in this one?
Absolutely, Maddie. 6-4 favourite. Then we go 11-4 Arcanada, 7 Goring, and it's 12 Bar. I'm quite keen on Eve Johnson's Halton's horse in this one. Standing dish at Lingfield, won his last 4 there. Very versatile. Got a good turn of foot, and you can ride him any way you like.
Okay, fantastic. Watsy?
Yeah, I think it'd be quite close. I know Second Thought's quite a strong favourite. I think it's only £2 between her and Arcanada. So I think it might be quite close between the pair of them. I still would side with Second Thought just about. Thought she was impressive in the Wolfruna Stakes at Wolverhampton last time out, won quite nicely. And as William Hagger showed at the weekend, he's a great target trainer. So if if Second Thought is the one for this race, then I think she's got a very good chance.
Okay, it's competition time now. For your chance to win a £25 or €25 free bet from Paddy Power, simply tweet the answer to the following question using the hashtag Postcast. We'll announce the winner on Friday's show and your free bet will be credited to your Paddy Power account. This week's question is, who won the Lincoln at Doncaster on Saturday?
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the Monday Postcast. As promised, we're going to talk about Newcastle now on Good Friday, as well as the action at Lingfield. Straight in there with the 320 Betway handicap. Al Hamdani looks to be one of the fancy runners in this, along with Amazing Red. Binners, how do they bet on this one?
Very competitive, Maddie. 3 on 8 to 1 the field, and I mean that tells the story. As you say, Al Hamdani, Amazing Red, and Celestial Spheres, all 8 to 1, 9 to 1. Cosmopolitan, 10 Kelly's Dino, 11 Bar. I'm going to go for Kelly's Dino for Carl Burke. Brave effort at Kempton last month. Had the widest draw that day. Tried to make all. Got collared just inside the final furlong, but still finished second and could go one better this time.
Okay, as you say, Carl Burke in good form. Of course, he had a terrific season last season, and maybe he'll train the 1,000 guineas winner with Lawrence. Who knows? What's he Betway handicap fancy?
Yeah, I'd really like Amazing Red. I'm surprised I like one so much for an all-weather race. It's not like me at all. But Amazing Red, I've been interested in the horse for a long time because it's a half-brother to one of my favourite ever horses, Red Caddo, who was so good and obviously improved with age and went on to lose out by, I think, a pixel in the Melbourne Cup one year. Amazing Red, nowhere near that level yet, but, he's still young, still got time to improve, still quite lightly raced as well. Got a couple of wins under his belt last season already and a really good comeback run at Lingfield. I think finished third, staying on well. Newcastle tends to ride, a little bit stiffer than Lingfield does, and you need to stay well. So I think that will suit Amazing Red as well, because I wouldn't be surprised if he, got 2 miles in time. So he's ticking a lot of boxes for me. Good comeback run, bred to improve with age. Good, some good performances last season as well. He might go on to another level in time, and so I think he'll run well here. Okay,
Amazing Red for Watsy. Tom, a fancy in this Betway handicap?
Loving Watsy's Amazing Red dialogue there. Very, very impressed with that. I thought there were a few interesting ones. Sapphires Rock, thought he was a big price for Mark Johnson. I like Mark Johnson, these 1.5 handicaps, all weather, whatever. He was a good. He was tried at Royal Ascot last year, wasn't he? He wasn't disgraced behind Raheen House.
Notched up quite a few wins last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he was third to Raheen House in the group, the race at the Bahrain Trophy at Newmarket. He's quite a good horse. I noticed PJ McDonald's jocked up for him. And interesting, Paul Nicholls has got an entry, hasn't he? The old horse he got off John Ox, Birds of Prey. Megan's up due to ride him. He's done pretty well on the all-weather recently, hasn't he, with that horse over at Kempton?
Cliffs of Dover, yeah, well-handicapped horse.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's obviously he'd probably been targeting this race, so wouldn't be surprised if Birds of Prey ran really well either. But for me, I'm all over Mark Johnson. I don't know what price Binners has got him in at there, but been gelded to Sapphires Rock. I think he might just have a bit of a class edge.
What price is he on, Binners?
Just having a quick look now. 25 to 1, Tom. Ooh, so you can really get involved there, can't you?
Excellent selection, Tom. More where that came from,
brilliant,
please.
Wasn't it?
We'll go on to the 245 sunbets.co.uk handicap. Highclere owned one in this. Pat Troy, who won on handicap debut last time, he's still unexposed. I'm sure he's going to be well fancied, Binners.
Well, we go 4-1 Pak Choi, 5-1 we did do, don't we? Hard one, that one. Six firm decisions, 8 Exchequer and Monk's Stand and Wellies in the Water, and it's 10 bar. I haven't really got an opinion on this race, so I'm going to try and earn my fee. I spoke to the Curracundra Brendan Duke, who I'll come back to later, but he's got a couple of really nice 3-year-old fillies. He runs one called Feisty Katerina at Cork on Saturday, and he thinks she's got every chance.
Love that. So nothing at Newcastle, but something at Cork.
Beautifully avoided, Binners. Well done.
Beautiful. Tom, is it going to be a similar story with you, or have you liked the look of something in this one?
Well, there's one running at Cork on... this race is nice. It's really hard. I thought it was quite interesting. Hugo Palmer's booked Danny Tudhope for Central City. So it's a very consistent horse. I think it's been out the first two once in this last 5 or 6 runs. Likes the all-weather. I think he'll run well in a very hard race. But for me, it'd be Central City at this time.
Central City for Tom. Watsy?
Nah, nothing for me in this one. Amazing Red's my sole Newcastle fancy on Friday.
Okay, brilliant. Moving on to the listed race now at 3:55, which is the 32 Red Burradon Stakes. Now, this is quite an interesting contest because I know connections of Gronkowski wanted to go to the Kentucky Derby, but it's turned out the point system has meant that if they would have tried to race him in America and he wouldn't have done very well, then he wouldn't be able to run in the Kentucky Derby. So they've chosen to switch and run him here. Be really interesting if he does indeed go that way. We've also got Nialetti, of course, who was a good filly last year, entered. But Gronkowski, I imagine, will be hard to beat. Binners, does the market agree?
Yes, it does. 2-1 Maddie. Then 3-1 Nialetti, 7-2 Great Prospector, 6 Purser, 8-1 Fortune's Pearl, and it's 12 bar. I'll stick with Fortune's Pearl for Andrew Balding. Made a nice seasonal debut at Kempton earlier this month. First race for 160 days. Should bring that one on nicely, and maybe he can give Gronkowski a bit of a fight up at Newcastle.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see. Tom?
Good race this, isn't it? A few 1,000 guineas entries. The bottom one, Nialetti and Dancing Brave Bear, they're both in it. Purser was a good third in the Gaiath race, the Group 3 at Newmarket last year, when he was 9-4 favourite for that race. So he's obviously well regarded. I thought John Gosden's horses ran only averagely at Doncaster this weekend. It might have been the ground, but maybe Purser will be better in a few weeks' time. Gronkowski's obviously the one with the recent all-weather form. He'll probably win. I would be very interested in see how Nialetti went, really, because her form with Clemmy and all those other ones in September ties in with the best fillies around. It'll be interesting to see how she compares to the Colts.
Do you think last year's fillies were better than the Colts, Tom?
Not sure. Not sure, to be honest. I don't think there were that many good Colts, but I thought the Racing Post Trophy was a brilliant race. Well, that was by far the best 2-year-old race of last season. In terms of strength in depth, maybe not, but I think sort of those three, the first three in the Racing Post Trophy, throw in Mark Johnson's horse, are probably the ones to concentrate on at this early stage of the Classic season if you're looking for a bet in the Classic.
Wonderful. Quick Classic advice there from Tom. Watsy?
Yeah, I thought Purser was quite interesting. I mean, I take Tom's point on board about the Gosden horses of the weekend, but you go back to the 2-year-old form, and he won his only start on the all-weather very easily at Lingfield, and I think he was 4th in the Solario as well, behind a horse called Massar. I thought that was quite a good race, actually. So, yeah, I mean, a slight concern, I suppose, bearing in mind how they went to Doncaster, but of course we're not comparing like with like, because it was, soft, horrible ground at Doncaster. This is the all-weather, so might well fare better here. 6-1 with Paddy Power, I think that would do for me.
Okay, before we go for a quick advert, we'll cover the Irish Grand National briefly, of course, at Fairyhouse this weekend. Bellshill's a big fancy for many, of course, after winning a recognised trial in the Bobby Joe Chase. Binners, I presume he's favourite?
Yes, well, combined with Pair of Brown Eyes, Maddie, they're 9-1 the pair. Then it's 11-1 Maldini, 12 Folsom Blue, Monbeg Notorious, 14 bar.
Okay.
I'll probably stick with Monbeg Notorious. I really like this horse. Won the Thyestes. Then he followed up in a Group 2 at Navan last month. I think this longer trip at Fairyhouse will definitely suit. Admittedly, he's a stone higher than when he won the Thyestes, but looking at the run at Navan, he deserves to be.
Well, if like me, you're stuck in jumps mode, this is a bit of light relief after covering Lingfield. What's the Irish Grand National? A lot of these ran at Cheltenham. You've also got Folsom Blue, who of course won the trial. What do you make of this one?
I really like Bellshill.
Another favourite.
I know, but if you look at this race in the last 10 years, I know Our Duke won it last season. Some of the results prior to that have been absolutely unfathomable. You've been getting all sorts winning at huge, huge prices. It's gradually come back in the punter's favour a little bit. Like I said, Our Duke was a very popular horse last year when he won. And for me, Bellshill might just have a class edge over some of these. He was a Grade 1 winner, I think, Grade 1 bumper winner, who's Grade 1 winner over hurdles. He didn't do badly in novice chases last season, and he was a good third in the RSA behind Might Bite and Whisper form, which has obviously worked out really, really well. He's had a nice light campaign, came back at Fairyhouse, won easily, beat a genie in a bottle who's not a bad yardstick at all. He was on a different level to him, won very, very comfortably indeed. And I think I'm right in saying Woody Mullins has never won this race, which is...
No, you're right, you're spot on,
which is really unusual. It must be about the only Irish race he hasn't won. So I
Gordon
think...
Elliott's not won it either, I think.
No, I don't think either of them have, but I think that's why he's going to swerve Aintree with Bellshill. I think the plan is to run in the Irish National instead. And yes, he is favourite, but I think he's got a really, really strong chance. He's got a lot of class, this horse.
OK. Tom, any big fancy in the Irish National?
Just Bellshill might end up with top weight. I don't think that'll be a problem. I think the key to him might be drying ground. I don't think he'd want it too heavy over the trip with a big weight. But I'm a sucker for a novice in a handicap chase, as we saw at Cheltenham. Storyteller, Kustar Sivola. I think in these handicap chases now, these older horses don't have anything in hand, whereas some of these young horses probably have 10 or 12 pounds in hand. I know Watsy was saying Gordon Elliott hasn't won it there, but I think he's got a massive chance this year. I was reading this morning he's going to run 12 runners in the race. For me, a horse like Jury Duty could easily bounce back. This form when it was second in the Grade 1 behind Shattered Love looks very, very good now. He's miles ahead of everything else. Ground would have been too soft last time. I could see him bouncing back. Fagan, for example, is another one that was second to Black Courton earlier in the season. Proper, good, decent ground novice chaser. The ground is the key to both of them. If the ground becomes up good, I'd give them massive chances off down the bottom of the weights. But it's a bit of a ground thing for me. On good ground, I think the novices will come to the fore. On if it's really heavy and soft, maybe a Folsom Blue might slog it out. But great race, love the Irish National. In some ways, it's classier than the English National these days. I think obviously Cheltenham showed that, that's where the strength of power lies with the Irish horses. And if they're targeting their novices at the Irish National, I think it's going to be a top quality race and one that no one should miss on Monday, except I will, because I'm in New York.
Do you want to mention that again, Tom? Boasting, New York, lovely. I'm a big fan of Dunikos, and he obviously didn't run his race last time, so he's another novice who I'd have on my radar if he indeed runs. We're going to talk about the Lincoln just in a moment.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
OK, welcome back to the Monday Postcast. As promised, we're going to talk about the Lincoln. Of course, Adiab, absolutely superb in that race. A lot of people saying he's obviously a group horse. He certainly travelled and then produced an effort to say that he was. What's he just a reflection on that run for you?
Well, it was easy, wasn't it? If you're on a deep, you were sitting comfortably all the way through the race, really, and it was a foregone conclusion once he went to the front, he was never going to be caught. The form probably will stack up very well with Lord Glitters, the right horse in second. How far can you go? He could easily be a group horse, I think. I suppose you've got to be a little bit circumspect because it is so early in the season. And Bravery won the race last year and then went on to run in the Earl of Sefton and finished last and didn't do anything else for the rest of the season. So, we're still in March and you've got to remember that. It's very, very early for these flat horses, but early signs obviously hugely promising. And like I said, you had the right horse in second in Lord Glitters, who rounded off the last campaign so well. And he's been talked off as being a potential group horse. So if he is, then Adib must be.
Tom, I was particularly struck by the fact that he managed to really quicken and extend on ground that bad. It looked dreadful, and he just put the race to bed in a matter of strides. It was an awesome performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good. The one thing I'd say is if you look down the race and you take the last 10, from 10th downwards, they were drawn 14, 15, 20, 13, 12, 19, 16, 18, 17, 22. So if that was not a draw race, then nothing is. Adib and the ones that drew on the far side, who raced up the far side, had a huge advantage. Didn't look like it was a massive advantage on Sunday, but during that race, it was a huge advantage. I'd be interested in a horse like Leader Writer, who was drawn 21, came 8th, beating his side by miles. I think he's a horse to maybe look for the Newbury Spring Cup, something like that. But as far as Adib goes, he's clearly a group horse, isn't he? He won with hardly coming off the bridle, but I thought it was the sign of a long, hard struggle of flat season tipping ahead of me, Maddie, when, you know, the whole world thought it might be high numbers and then it's low numbers, and the Spring Mile goes to horse in trap 1 at 50 to 1. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be getting the draw wrong every single week from now on in. But there we go. You know, Adib was class. Lord Glitters is class. Mitcham Swagger's been third in the right horses won. I'm pretty sure that, you know, Adib might have won from 21, but what I'm saying is that it looked like a draw race to me, and it must have been given the result.
OK, you mentioned Leader Writer. Of course, I think lots of people in the Racing Post office were on him. Any of the highlights from Doncaster? Zabil Prince, again, he was another one who was against Racefit Rivals, who put up a really nice performance. Tom?
Yeah, he did really well, didn't he? I mean, he's a good horse. I'm not sure that was a brilliant race. I'd look at the Spring Mile again. I thought, you know, just going back to the theme I had there, Trap 1 beat Trap 6, beat Trap 5, beat Trap 8. The outlier, finishing third from Trap 19, was Kindren for David Barron and Ben Curtis. He probably ran the best race in the race. He's probably the best handicapped horse in the race. He's not going to say it because he finished third. I think he's another one going forward that would be, you know, right on my radar to win a big handicap. The problem is everyone's going to see it now, and he'll probably be a shorter price than he should be. But that's the sort of angle I would go into looking at the Doncaster card. I think there was some sort of hidden good runs there in both the Spring Mile and the Lincoln.
OK, nevertheless, some nice eye catchers. Tom, Binners, a word from you on this weekend?
Well, I've got to go for Brendan Duke's Pride of Pimlico, Maddie, owned by two very good friends of mine, Martin Hayes and Peter Slezak. I could have gone yesterday. I chose not to, thoroughly regretting it. Listen, the horse had it won a furlong out. They can dream now. Dawn Approach won the same race by a length from 3/4 in 2012. Pride of Pimlico yesterday won by 2 lengths. Goes for the Marble Hill Stakes now. Brendan thinks better on better ground. So we're dreaming at Fenway House with Brendan's team of 18, which he does so well with.
Oh, well, best of luck with that one, Binners. We've got our violins out for you. We wish you could have made it there. What's the weekend eye catchers?
It's already been said. You know, if Tom thought Kindren was going to be the name on everyone's lips and he's already mentioned it, then I'll just go in again because he was a big eye catcher. I thought he travelled really, really well during the race. And, yeah, you know, as it turned out, he wasn't in the kind of right position on the track and all that kind of stuff. So you can upgrade his performance, definitely. And my other weekend eye catcher was the one that Binners has just said. I thought Brendan Duke's horse, Pride of Pimlico, won very nicely, had it won some way out. There was also Jim Bolgers chasing him all the way up the straight, couldn't get close to him. And Jim normally lines one up, you know, fairly early doors, you know, as Paul again has mentioned too. So might not be a bad race, although obviously very early in the season. So he's one to look out for. An interesting making light one for Dermot. Well, Dermot had a pretty poor season by his standards last year, so the fact that he's come out early, kind of a statement of intent. I expect him to have a much better season than he did last. He's got some really, really interesting, lightly raced horses that, you know, if he's back firing this season, we could be hearing a lot more from. Tocco de Mori, the likes of those very interesting horses. I
know he said that his preparation for a lot of his horses has been interrupted by the bad weather as well, so that could be even more of a positive if he's not been able to get them out and working. Quickly, weekend eye catcher, what's I'll go to you first?
Well, we've already said it, but it had to be Kindren from where he was. It was a really, really eye-catching run, seen by everybody, but you know. If you say what you see.
Say what you see, Tom. Is it a similar story?
What was that? What was that? That's a catchphrase, isn't it?
Yeah, Roy Walker. If you see it, say it. Roy Walker catchphrase. Roy Walker,
see what you see. My two would be on the jumps, Maddie. I'm still in entry mode.
Okay, that's fine.
You probably, I thought Malaya, who won the juvenile handicap hurdle, was really good at Ascot yesterday, and a horse that fell in the novices handicap chase. Very well backed, Diego de Charmille.
Oh,
He
yeah.
jumped brilliantly until coming down. It was an unlucky fall, didn't touch the fence. If he doesn't win a race at Aintree, I'll be really surprised.
Okay, that's
Maybe do both.
Okay, glowing reports from Tom then. Binners?
Well, as I said, Pride of Pimlico, but I did like the Simon Munir horse Newbury on Saturday. Looked like he was cruising to the front.
Oscar Noir, yeah.
Yeah, cruised to the front. Well done to the Gary Moore front horse who stayed in front, showed a lot of tenacity. But if the Munir horse had jumped the last, I think he would have cruised home. And if they can improve his jumping slightly, there's got to be a big prize in that one sometime.
Yeah, he was travelling really well. I know lots of people have lots to say on that race won by Mr. Chow at Newbury. Before we leave you guys, just want to talk about Q Card. Of course, it's been announced that he's going to run in the Oaksey Chase at Sandown. That's going to be his final hurrah. Right decision, what's he wrong decision? What do you make of it?
I'm glad they didn't go to Aintree. I don't know. It's hard to know what to make of his run in the Ryanair Chase last time. I mean,
well, he didn't really run, did he, for a lot of it?
Didn't run his race at all. I thought the way the ground cut up, you know, and it was a soft ground race, that it might suit him, you know, especially as they're probably going a little bit slower, help him in the conditions. He didn't run any sort of race. Maybe it was, you know, because of that big run at Ascot the time before. Yeah, I mean, it's the last day of the season, isn't it? It's probably a race that will suit him. It doesn't tend to be the most well-contested race, you know, on the card. Minoria's won it 3 times, hasn't he, and set off into the sunset, didn't he, with a nice win in it last season. So you wouldn't rule out one last big win from him. If he was mine, I would have sent him out to pasture straight after Cheltenham, but they haven't. So let's just hope he comes back safe, and you know, we can celebrate him after Sandown, win or lose.
Yeah, in a way, tonight it'll be a nice opportunity for everyone to say goodbye to him on that day, season finale. She said, Tom, a lot of people are saying that they should have already retired him, but at the end of the day, it's not their horse. Everyone's saying it's the public's horse, but they don't pay the bills. What's your opinion on it?
I keep running them as long as they want to. As you say, Maddie, it's not... the owner pays the bills, isn't she? And if Colin Tizard's saying he's ready to run again, let's see him. It'd be great to see him at Sandown. I'm with Watsy there. I think he just bounced to the moon at Cheltenham. They had an incredibly hard race at Ascot. I think we said it beforehand. He
race
sort
of the
of
season, perhaps, that
his
race.
Head between his tail, didn't he? I mean, he was so tired after that. I mean, Paddy Brennan didn't give him any respite. All the horses that ran in that race came out and blew out at Cheltenham. Prodon ran appallingly. Few of the others did as well. I think it simply wasn't his form. I'd love to see him come back at Sandown. It's a good meeting, Sandown. They do a really good job with that. They sort of round it off nicely, and it'll be packed out. And I think it'll be great to see Q Card there. I'll go, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get there as well. So hopefully we'll be there to see Q Card sign off. Binners, what's your opinion on the whole Q Card debate?
Well, I think he should have been retired, but Maddie, I might well be changing my opinion if the old boy comes out and wins that race at Sandown. It'll be a brilliant day for everyone, and the horse will attract huge crowds to Sandown that day. The most popular horse in training, I would say, and it's going to be a day to look forward to, a bit like the day Tony McCoy retired there a couple of years ago.
Here. I think we're all in agreement that we want Q Card to win. We'll be back on Friday when we'll take a closer look at the action at Fairyhouse. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure you rate, review and subscribe on iTunes. That's all from us, and I'll see you again on Monday.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.